So SSL protocol is structured as 4 subprotocols. Okay, handshake protocol, chain cipherspec protocol, alert protocol, and the record protocol. Okay, I'll discuss one after the other. Okay, so maybe I will go to the next slide and then come back to this. Okay, just see here how the secure socket layer is going to work between the client and server. When I say client, it is your web server. Client means it's browser, and server means web server. Same secure socket layer you can even enable for your FTP. Then client will be FTP client and server will be FTP server. Similarly, any other TCP application. Now, when you are enabling between the client and server, that is a browser and server, internally, this is the way the protocol works. The client will send a client hello message to the server. All these things are hidden to us because SSL, whatever is integrated between the browser and server, okay, will do all this job for you internally. Okay, so that means it is transparent, hidden to you, and then you are just given a confidence that things are happening internal. That's it. So as an engineer or as a person managing our networks, if you want to really see whether it is happening or not, for the website, when you are access with HTTPS, you run the Wireshark and check what is the kind of messages. There you will see the client hello and other messages packets flowing between the client and server. So what it is telling in the first message is that what is the SSL version available at the client, the time at which this message is dispatched, and the list of cipher suit list at the client. Whatever the suits are available, okay, in one suit it can be ID algorithm, in another suit it can be advanced encryption standard. Like that we can have, and a suit means a combination of one algorithm of each type, like public key algorithm, secret key algorithm, like that, compression algorithm, hash algorithm. A combination of it is one suit. So for every communication, you require one suit of algorithms. Multiple suit can be managed and you can select one out of it. Okay, what server will say, I have this version and this is the time at which I am dispatching this message, and it says that let us select this particular cipher suit. Once the list is sent by the client, server will select the specific cipher suit. And client has to verify the server, public key has to be verified in order to communicate and other things. It will verify whether it is verified by the authorized person, and then digital certificate is issued. And then, as you are aware, in any session, we need to have a some kind of key exchange. Public material will be flowing between the client and server. So it will give some server key exchange material. And if server want to verify the client, most of the time it may not be required, because the clients verifying the server is more important, because online service, if you look at it, many people will end up with the fake services. So we should know whether it's a genuine or something. Otherwise, if you want a stringent the two-way thing, you can expect server also can expect the client certificate, and server will say hello message dies done. And client, what it will do, if server has requested for the client certificate, it will push and send the client key exchange material, and then certificate verify status, whether it has successfully verified. Once all these things are done properly, it has verified and it has agreed upon the algorithm and key is set up, it will say one message telling that chain cipherspec is a subprotocol which is residing in the handshake protocol. This entire thing is a handshake protocol of secure socket layer. Okay, these are all the messages happen initially, where they agree upon the cipher suit, they agree upon the verify the certificate, the other end with the certificate, key exchange will be done, all these things will be done. Once this is done, a single message is embedded. Chain cipherspec is a subprotocol under the SSL, but it is embedded within the handshake protocol, which will say that now I am agree upon to these parameters and say I am coming out of the handshake protocol. Now any communication flows between the client and server, I will apply this security. Similarly, server also says, yes, I am agreeing upon to this, changing the cipher specifications to this new things which we agreed upon, and it says finish. Now this entire thing is a handshake protocol. Without your knowledge, this is happening between the client and server whenever you connect from the browser to the server. After that, your actual data keeps moving from whatever you requested for in the browser. Whenever you connect to the banking site and other things, it will start going. In addition to that, just let me go back to the handshake. We discussed about handshake, cipherspec. Alert protocol is meant for the alert messages. Okay, in case if you end up with some errors or warnings, okay, how exactly they are dealt, that is done through the alert protocol. And record protocol is the one which will apply the security in the real time when the data flows in. That I will try to take it up in the next slide. Okay, this once it is done, just see, this is how the record protocol work. when the application data comes, once the chain cipher specification happens at each end, when the client sends the data to the server, what record protocol will do? It will fragment it into size of 64K, compress it, add this one, a message digest and other integrity things, encrypts, adds a SSL header and then pushes. Record protocol is the one which will actually apply the security. Okay. Handshake protocol is the one through which authentication takes place, agree upon the cipher suit, establishing the keys, all that will be done in that. Whereas record protocol will try to apply the security, whatever is enabled through the handshake. All these things are done internally in your SSL. Okay. Initially, it was developed by the Netscape, but looking at the importance of that particular thing, this is made standardized as transport layer security, okay, which is the next generation of initial SSL. Now, IETF formed a SSL working group to create an internet standard protocol for security. Now, they keep working, they keep evolving this particular, improving this particular protocol. This group will work on that continuously, coming out new versions, adding new cipher suit algorithms, more error codes, okay, and the variable padding lengths to strength enable more the security of that particular systems rather than depending on only one pad length like that. Okay, that is about transport layer. I think this we are using in day and out and HTTPS, and we can enable further for even other protocols, FTP and Telnet also we can integrate. Okay, the other most important security protocol which we use it is at the IP level security, IPsec. Okay, most of the time, okay, whenever we want to establish a tunnel, okay, secure tunnel over the public network, we depend on the IPsec, right? See, now the many times if you have noticed, people use the word VPN for SSL also, SSH also, as well as the IPsec also. Okay, SSH, which is a application level security, okay, which is for enabling a secure remote login. SSL is basically a transport layer security. For all TCP based standardized security is enabled through that. There also we use the word VPN. Now IPsec, which I'm talking about now, which is a security enabled at the IP layer. Okay, irrespective of the top layers, whether it is a transport layer, UDP, TCP, whatever it is, they all can make use of this particular thing. Even in this case also we use the word VPN. SSH VPN, SSL VPN, IPsec VPN, like that. What exactly is a virtual private network word in the sense? See, you are using the public infrastructure, but you are getting a feel of virtual private network, okay, because of applying the security. That means whether you go for SSH or SSL or IPsec, we are using some kind of public channel, okay, shared channel to communicate with the securely with a particular entity with the other end. Though we are using the public network, we are getting an illusion or a feel of having a private network because we are using the security enabled through this protocol. That's why we call it the virtual private network word. Okay. Generally, IPsec VPN is used across the gateways. Okay, it is something like that. So from one network to the other network. Okay, normally within the network, what we feel is they are all trusted people. Within a network, we may not enable this kind of security. But let us say we have branches located across India, and we want to interact with the headquarters like that. Okay, now from one branch to the headquarters or another branch or something like that, when we go through the public network, then we want to, while going over the public network, that is the internet, we want to enable this particular secure tunnel. Okay, so how we do that? At the gateway level of branch A, gateway level of headquarters, as well as a branch B, we mentioned that we configure an IPsec here. We say that at branch A, all outgoing packets to this particular IP corresponding to the gateway of headquarters has to be secured. From branch A gateway, I may be interacting with so many other machines over the internet. But one of the thing is headquarters gateway. What I will configure, all the communication going outside my network, okay, to this headquarters. So with this destination IP, we need to secure the communication. So that I will configure. Similarly, incoming packets coming from this particular gateway, headquarters gateway, this thing have to be decoded because they must be secured. Now, same thing headquarters also will apply. Similarly, headquarters will apply security with the branch B also. Whenever I'm interacting with branch B, you enable the security. Like that, the IPsec will be configured and proper keys and all will be enabled at this particular gateway level, at the IP level of this gateway, so that a secure tunnel will be created for this particular machines. Okay, so IPsec is framework for security operating at the network layer. Okay, understood, right? Based on standards developed by the Internet Engineering Task Force, IETF. Okay, and what kind of services it is providing? Access control, what which IPs you can communicate, and other list. Connectionless integrity. One interesting thing is here which we need to understand is that it is not connection oriented integrity. Reason is, in case of SSL, you can see that the entire connection session data can be checked whether it is intact or not. Whereas here it is only packet level integrity, because IP itself is a packet connectionless service. It will always treats it as a incoming packets and outgoing packets. So at the packet level only it can ensure the integrity. Okay, data origin authentication, whether it is from a rejection of replayed packets will be rejected. Data confidentiality you can enable, and limited traffic flow confidentiality, something you can try to take care of the headers also, to take care of the more this thing kind of thing. Okay, so where you deploy this, generally the preferred one is pair of security gateways, routers or firewalls. Pair of host also we can do it across 2 different hosts on 2 different networks is possible, but it is not preferred. It will be a lot of overhead involved in that. And security gateway and host. Say normally when you enable see what is that, if you enable security at the see, for example, if you are allowing work from home kind of thing, right? From laptop from home, actually you'll be connecting to the organization security. So you would have heard that the VPN is enabled, or you must be using in your organizations also, right? So from the host to the security gateway also, we will try to enable that. Okay. See, as you do the lower level security, what happens is the upper layer data will be going through that particular. Okay, will be secured. Okay, but see, all the higher level data will be encrypted, including the headers. Clear. So the gateway should be clear in order to decrypt it and then send it to the right machine. Whereas if I do the higher level, that is at the application level, what happen? All the headers will be open. Only payload will be encrypted. So what happen? Sometimes because the headers and all open, people may do the traffic analysis and then try to decode the activity also. Whereas if I try to encode or encrypt even headers, when I try to deploy the security in the lower layer, the traffic analysis can be reduced. That's either. Okay. See, and IPsec comes with 2 different protocols. One is authentication header and encapsulating security payload. And both these protocols can be offered in tunnel mode as well as a transport mode. I will explain that. What is this authentication header and encapsulating security payload? If you want to have strong authentication, that means data origin authentication, content modification should be detected, origin has to be properly verified. That is my objective. Then I'll go for authentication header. Whereas limited authentication, at the same time, I also want to have confidentiality. I go for encapsulating security payload protocol. Sometimes you can even go for a combination of these 2 protocols also in your communication. You can configure both. Okay. So, and one more thing, as I told you, there is something which we need to be very clear. In case of SSL, it is a session. Both will agree upon. There is the TCP/IP protocol, the 3-way handshake is done between the client and server, between the browser and web server, and a session is established. So through that session, they will agree upon the keys, everything. Whereas IP is a connectionless service. IP layer, it is always incoming connection, incoming packets, outgoing packets. So what is done is, you need to have something like for each simplex connection, that is for outgoing traffic and incoming traffic, you should try to have security associations where you tell that if outgoing packets are there with this destination IP address, what kind of security association is planned in the database, what protocol has to be enabled, what keys have to be stored. All these details have to be stored. Similarly, for incoming packet from a specific IP address, what is a security association like that? For every communication with one particular machine, incoming and outgoing packets will have 2 simplex associations, one in each direction, for which you will try to apply, because you can understand, see that it is a connectionless service. Okay. SA talks about what is a parameter index, what is the destination, what protocols are used, what keys are used. All these need to be configured at the other end. See, what is this? The transport mode working is, transport mode is basically end to end. Okay. See, from this particular mission A, okay, to B, we are trying to communicate. That means not at the end system end itself, we are trying to apply the security. Okay. So when I apply the security at the end itself, So what happens is that, here at this particular level itself, we are trying to encrypt or authenticating the communication. We are encrypting or authenticating the communication at this level itself. Okay, we are encrypting that. And then what happens here? Just see here, TCP data. See, you can IP header is something which is added at this machine itself. Okay, what has done? It is included inside this particular thing, so that original IP header is safeguarded here. Original IP header is not closed. Actually, it is not closed. It is still open. So what happened? What the gateway will do is that it will just receive, and whatever is received based on the original IP header, it will try to pass it to the destination. Once it comes to the gateway, this based on the IP, it will try to route it to the corresponding B, and the encrypted this thing. It will look at the, because it is done here, the end system. It will explore, look at the IP header and then decrypt. So if you notice here, the problem with the transport mode is most of the details are still open here. Okay, see that you may be doing this, but original IP and all is still open. It is not secured. From which IP address it is initiated, all the details will still be available. See, now if I go for transport mode authentication header, you just look at it. Okay, so it is something like this. Okay, original header, authentication header is added here, where it will store the integrity details of this particular communication. Okay, so in encapsulating security mode as payload, as I told, here encryption also will be included along with auth. You just see here, encryption is only up to this. All this original IP and all are available. They are open still. Okay, so people can try to analyze that particular. Okay, from end to end. Tunnel mode, what happen is we are not doing encryption at the ends, because most of the time we trust our internal network people. Our worry is more about public network between the gateways. Okay, so no protection here. At the gateway level, IPsec is configured. The tunnel mode, gateway level, IPsec is configured. Transport mode, IPsec is configured at the endpoints. Okay, so this is the tunnel. It will see original IP, TCP and data, whatever is received from A will be a payload for this gateway. Now, once it received, it will add its new IP header corresponding to this gateway and this gateway. Okay, source and destination. And then once this, because it is applying this IPsec header, whether it is AH or ESP, will be added here. Now, if you look at it, complete packet details from the end coming from A are hidden inside this tunnel mode. Okay, so in the authentication header, only strong authentication will be provided and IP header is visible authentication. And in the encapsulating security mode, only new IP header will be open. Okay, and the original IP header and other things, no, they are safeguarded internally. From which end system it is coming and all, it is provided, protected. Okay, see, key management. See, as I told you, there is no session between the client and server, so keys cannot be established just like have you running some application like that. Okay, so IPsec is a connectionless service at the IP level. So it will, once you configure the security at the gateways or endpoints and enable the things in form of security associations in the database, the IP level IPsec functionality will apply that security. But setting up the keys, configuring everything has to be done before. There are various ways. One is the keys can be done manually. System admin can configure the keys at both end systems. Okay, generally for each direction you need to have two separate kind of things. Or you can depend on automated key management by having specialized protocols like Oakley and ISA-KMP. These will be run as a separate service running over UDP across the two gateways or two endpoints to enable the keys. Okay, or then manually enabled. So Oakley is basically a key exchange protocol used in this one, which is based on the DEFI element. It's based on the UDP this thing. And ISA-KMP is a broader framework, Internet Security Association and Key Management Protocol, which provides a framework for key management. It talks the lot of things like standardization with respect to what procedures and package formats to be established, negotiate, and modify and delete the security associations. Okay, but it will not talk about a specific algorithm independent of the key exchange protocol and all. You can, ISA-KMP will give a general framework, so you can choose the appropriate algorithm, whereas Oakley talks about only using a DEFI-Hellman algorithm. Okay, so that is in brief about the IPsec. So what we discussed in the entire session in the last almost 3 hours duration is that first we try to look at what exactly is the problem. Okay, in the present networks. Okay, see, whatever I talked about today, is trying to provide the security for end-to-end net communication, like one entity interacting with other. Okay, so firewall is altogether different, IDS is altogether different, anti-malware solutions are different. Now you may say, in my local system, my key is compromised with malware. Okay, then this solution will not provide protection. Okay, you should have appropriate security controls at the end system so that you can safeguard the keys also properly. All are important, and you should enable the defense in depth. So today's session was basically targeting on the network security part itself. So when two entities interact with each other, how do you provide protection to the transmission? How do you authenticate the people? How do you encrypt the data? How do you make sure that the data is not modified? Only such things, and what kind of mathematical transformations are there to enable these various cells. Then we try to understand those algorithms in detail. What is the importance of key lengths? Okay, and we understood that just by one algorithm is not sufficient. We should have a combination of these things. And we understood something about digital signature. And then public keys cannot be shared just like that. When someone says this is my public key, I cannot trust that. I should get to a trusted party. That is exactly called digital certificate. Once you understood all these things, then we try to look at network security protocol. So that means by using all these algorithms and building blocks, we try to design the standards network security protocols. The protocol can work at the application level or transport layer or at the IP level. We have seen the different things like SSH, PGP and other things, they come at the application layer. Whereas these SSL will come at the transport layer because we are trying to standardize at the transport layer, and IPsec is the IP level of the security. Okay, like that, over the period, lot of evolution has taken place. So by using these ready-made protocols, we'll be able to secure transactions or across the applications or the across the nodes in the network. Okay, so this is in brief on this particular the cryptography and network security protocol. So I think